You're listening to the Culture Junkie podcast, where we go beyond the surface of pop culture.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Xandra. Together, we dive into the craft process and passion that drive today's creators. This is the Culture Junkie podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Dr. Jim's Computer Repair in Belleville.
Dr. Jim now offers high-quality, compatible ink cartridges online, delivered right to your door. Same print quality, far better price. Just the right ink the first time from someone you can actually talk to.
Head to drjimscomputerrepair.ca, find your printer, and start saving today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Culture Junkie podcast. Today we have Dave Bliss, Lowe on.
All the above. Hey.
It says Bliss right in the background.
Yeah. And tell us about the Bliss part of the name here.
Wow. Well, it's an old nickname, just sort of one of the several nicknames from school. I guess it just sort of got resurrected as I mentioned it to somebody in more recent years. And it's like, when you're promoting yourself and doing whatever the whole music thing. So it's the handle that I attached to my live persona, right? Anyone that knows
and your live
me,
persona being your musician drum persona.
that guy.
Yeah.
I am very different off the stage or doing what I do. I'm a bit of a live wire, and I'm a happy-go-lucky, blissful kind of guy. But at the same time, I know when I'm performing, bring it, right? So, I'll be drumming, and I'm very serious about what I'm doing. But my mind will say, "Hey, you got to be blissful."
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, I met you, what was it, 2018? And
Probably.
maybe 17, when we were both in school at Humber together, and you were going to the music
Yes.
portion, and I was going to advertising. And tell me more about how you decided to go to Humber for music.
Well, the long version, I'm
Yeah.
a self-taught musician, and over the years, as you interact and jam and perform with other people, other musicians that perhaps know musically more than you, as the hack drum guy from the basement, they would talk, and it was almost a different language of what are they saying, or what do they mean, or why does that matter? And that's always been in the back of my mind because I want to know, and I'm always trying to evolve, creatively, always trying to learn, even from a younger kid. So I would try to write music, and everything I wrote sounded like a nursery rhyme. And I remember those days, Keith's laughing.
I know.
In those days, I would go to the library and, get these books out on music theory and try to make sense of it. And of course, you need some sort of melodic way to convey your ideas. I'm a horrible piano player. I don't play piano. My dad was a guitar player. And so I would use his guitar to try to figure out chords. So I was like, well, I've got to learn guitar. So here I am trying to learn chords and strum and all that. And that takes you off on a tangent. So you fast forward a little bit. Well, now I know a few chords, and I know what the word diatonic meant. Ooh. Oh gosh. Again, so everything I would write would come out kind of basic. And now I've filled in a few holes and a few gaps when I'm interacting with other musicians, but I still didn't know. Really wanted to learn piano and understand it, but enter in my own children, my family, and you go off, not on a tangent, but you take that route of raising kids and a family. So I never learned. And of course, they're both older. And the desire, when I met my wife, she's like, well, you're at Humber back in 1989. Why don't you go for music? And my folks want me to do this, that, and the other thing. So I went to school originally for, what was I? I was a computer programmer, programmer
Sounds
graduate.
like someone else we know.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing you probably had West Indian parents that told you can't do this and you can't do that.
West Indian parents.
What's that like?
Yeah.
So
being a musician is not a job.
Yeah.
It's not something that regular people do. So
Well, it's kind
yeah.
of funny that my mom was always disappointed in me that I didn't become a musician because she's a music teacher. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, the teacher side of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Just so you know, Zandra's not from the West
No.
Indies.
So
Yeah.
I know it's shocking.
no, she got the European side. I'm not
Mm.
either, actually, by birth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when my kids were older, I eventually decided, you know what, I'm going back to school. And it was a lot of soul searching, a lot of why am I going to do this? Do I want to do this kind of thing inside of me? Absolutely. I needed to know. And it was, I mean, it was the hardest thing I've done in years, but at the same time, it was like hand in glove. This is what I should have done back in 1989, being around people that I want to be around and people that relate and understand. When I was at doing programming, they loved programs and computers and talking about different languages and assignments and for next loops. And I couldn't wait to get out. Like whatever the assignment was, I did it, got out. Like I have no interest in hanging out with you, talking whatever that is, bits and bytes. And no, thank you.
So the
So
drumming was always dragging you in, always
yeah,
bringing
I
you in.
started when I was 6 and I got drums when I was 6. Yeah. It's, I tell people music's in me trying to come out, not the other way around. Right. I can't help it. It's always in here.
So when you started when you were 6, who was your influence to start? Like what made you decide? Did you have somebody already doing drums in your life? Were you following in some footsteps?
There's pictures of my dad was in those days of the 60s, right? He would have these band rehearsals and of the curious at that time 3 or 4 year old. So these people would come over with their instruments and that's fascinating. What does that do? And can I touch that and turn that and whatever? So what locked me onto drums? I don't know. My mother thought I'd be a bass player. I used to, walk around singing bass lines to songs, not even the melody. I would be da-doom, 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 doom, 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 rather than whatever the main song was. Well, I don't know why or how. And I remember being in Barbados at 4 and they let me sit on the drummer's lap and he played and I got to sit in the drummer's chair watching this.
Right.
Big mistake. That was it. That was my life. This is what I'm doing. And I was encouraged in terms of the support of, wow, you have an interest in music and so do my parents. Absolutely. Go do this. Have fun until it matters.
So tell me, Dave, when you went back to Humber and were contemporary of Zandra, did you read drum music at that point?
I did. I taught myself to read that as well. You can't get into the music school program
Right.
without having a certain level of ability. You have to audition to get in, and reading and sight reading is one of the requirements. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was a youth and going to university, I had a few contemporaries and bandmates and that wanting to get into Humber jazz. It just seemed to be the most insufferable of all musicians went to Humber and auditioned to get in and told you all about it many, many times. But it was a school where it was recognized for its excellence. So kudos to you going back as an adult and diving into that pool. That's amazing. How did you feel during that transition? Obviously you were much older than most of the students there. How did that work?
Well, in terms of relating to my peers, my classmates, completely foreign, fish out of water. What am I doing here? There's generational gaps, generational understandings, the culture of a 20-something versus me. I was 47 when I went back. So you do feel the difference. They were the ages, my own kids were older than my peers at school. But at the same time, their learning and their abilities were far accelerated from what I could do and what I knew and understood about music. So the first time was at Humber. Your favorite musicians were incredible for me, incredible drummers. Wow, this Dave Weckl and Dennis Chambers, who I doubt many of you have heard of, but they were just phenomenal players. Just how could you play like that? And the entire drum population at school would follow these guys as, everything they did. If they did a clinic, we would go to these drum clinics and you'd see the same people at these drum clinics. But fast forward to 2016, every kid at school plays at least 3 instruments and plays them well. And I could barely play a scale on the piano, let alone, I remember going to one gig and it was a quartet, a sax player, an upright bass player, keyboard player, and drummer. It blew me away. Every single person on the stage was a drum major. They were drummers. But
Wow.
yet this guy was playing piano like, and the sax, like, what? This is what they do. And then, you're talking to a sax player and they turn around and they'll play piano like crazy. And then they got to leave because they've got a gig as a drummer.
Yeah,
So I felt pretty basic.
yeah, the level of musicianship amongst the young musicians now is top notch. I'm not sure about the music, but the musicianship is amazing. It's funny as we were out at the Shore Grill just last week with my friend Dan, who is also a drummer, but he's evolved. He's a contemporary of mine, but he's evolved into a musician. He spends most of his time now playing the piano or playing the guitar while he's been drumming since he was 10. So it's really interesting to hear about the multifacetedness of musicians today, because I play the guitar and I sort of sing. That's what I do. I can play the piano a little bit. I played the saxophone in high school, but I wouldn't say I'm good at any of those things. I would say I can play the guitar. I wouldn't say I can play the piano. It's really kind of a sea change to how things were when I was growing up.
Yeah, it is. And that's to be immersed in it and realize your experience and knowledge is far ahead, right? I was a 40 something and had worldly knowledge compared to these kids that were literally out of high school and, ready to take on the world. And I'm like, yeah, you'll learn. It's not like that. I had that experience and that knowledge of things. But when it came to the instruments, when it came to accessing music, I was a complete kindergartner. I knew nothing, compared to what these kids knew. That was overwhelming. Absolutely.
So that's part of the pivot, isn't it? I mean, now here you are and you're creating music, and it's 2026 and everyone's online. How did you transition into the online sphere that you are now?
I sort of had one foot in the door in terms of accessing online, but even that has grown in the last 3 years. So as a programmer, I was terrible at it, didn't like it, and eventually realized I'm a creative programmer. Take computers, take creativity, put that together, you get graphic designer. So that is where I made the bulk of my other income, so to speak. And in becoming a freelancer, you need to access clients. And my work when I was learning the trade was print. It was visual. Magazines, t-shirts, hats, anything tangible was visual. The internet was just evolving. And I remember this new thing called a PDF. Yeah, whatever. We're going to call the courier. We got so a courier would come, pick up the artwork and take it to the art house or the client or what have you, get the approval maybe by the next day, whatever. A PDF was a new thing. So as the digital and online world evolved, I was just enough to keep up. When you start freelancing, you have to embrace what's on the other side of the screen, the ether. It's out there. There's people. I've never been comfortable unless I'm, behind the drums. So I don't promote and market myself too much. But I remember a course at Humber was literally, I'll just call it the Instagram course. You had to take a course to learn how to self-promote, how to package yourself and sell that. Hence the Bliss. Bliss is the package, the name of the package that can produce, can write, can act as a musician or perform or entertain. That guy. You're talking to Dave Lowe. He puts on that hat when he needs to.
So when you were doing all these freelancing gigs, you were also doing freelancing as a drummer as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That never stopped. I had an original band, which was amazing. You'll want it to be part of that. And that was what you did back then. So I used to work closely with a band called Jack Soul. and we were all, his band and my band would rehearse outdoors in this shed. And, everybody wanted to get signed. You'd want to get signed so you'd get distribution and get seen and promoted. And that was the way you did it then. So, again, when that changes, I have to keep up with it. But again, I wrote music. They were good songs, put out 2 albums and got some play and high rotation on Much Music and did the videos and the whole bit. Still, as a musician who isn't formally trained and doesn't know anything,
Yeah.
isn't formally trained, because I did
Yeah.
know
Right.
things, just not formally.
Yeah, it's funny how so much of the creative space is based on like apprenticeship. Like I feel the same way around my lighting career is just you just show up and you just do it. And if you're lucky, you're doing it with somebody who also knows a lot of stuff and they're happy to impart their knowledge to you, like
Yeah.
a journeyman or a mentor.
Yes.
So did you have some good mentors growing up in your music career?
No, not at all. I am the most self-taught, now the word is entrepreneurial guy. It's funny. I have taught drums for like 40 years, never
Mhm.
had a teacher. I've taught in the schools and still teach within the school systems. Don't have a teaching degree, never been formally taught how to teach, but understand the students and the psyche of how to connect. How to connect is bigger. That's what I've learned. Classroom management, all of that. And, in getting to that, I had to promote myself. Hey, why don't I create a website? Hey, I know how to do that. So I'd make a website. Well, do you have a card? I don't have any on me. And I'd run home and make up business cards because I could. So I'm that guy that whatever needs doing on his end, did it. Mentor, no, I had along the way people that inspired me.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Michael Jordan say, make your weakness your strength. Okay, that stuck. So he, for example, can shoot better on his left side than his right. As a basketball player or an athlete, that's a tremendous skill and ability, right? But that was always, it's something we do as musicians. We're always trying to improve, but that stuck with me. Right? And there's so many different things as I was going to Humber that kept me saying, well, I've just got to do this and figure it out and find a way and get it done and get through and learn. And my mind was always open, which I think is imperative in life. Just keep an open mind for everything, everyone, every opportunity. You never know what's going to be there. But as far as a mentor, cannot say that there was someone that showed me the ropes. Nope.
Well, I remember when I was learning bass back in the day,
Mhm.
I would just have to learn from listening
Mhm.
because I heard a song on the radio and I would maybe record it on the tape deck or something like that.
Tape deck.
And just and listen to it over and over and over again. Or maybe I had the album from one of the songs I really liked, and I would just listen to it and play it by ear.
Mhm.
Is that something that you did, or did you find maybe when YouTube started, suddenly a whole new world opened up to you? Or did you go to the music stores and pick up drum tabs and do it that way? Like, what was your preferred way of learning a new song?
It was, yeah, there was no YouTube. So by the time YouTube came along, I was teaching.
Yeah.
No, it was a record. Literally, I remember this little blue case my parents had given my sister and I. You'd open it up and it was a record player. And I would learn from that. And then my parents gave me this tape cassette thing and I would record that and maybe try to record myself playing. And I would copy whatever I heard. So those days, it was a lot of, I loved the Jacksons. I loved James Brown, huge Beatles fan. Any sort of what's called now classic rock, because you can hear today's music doesn't have the authentic sounds of drums for most artists. So when you're trying to learn to drum, it doesn't matter if you like rock, blues, jazz, funk, whatever. You need to listen to a drummer, and to hear a drummer playing. When I was coming up, you're going to hear a lot of the rock stuff. But that taught me what I now know is phrasing. You're learning this part. When they're singing this part, okay, then they got to go to the other part, the favorite part, the hook or whatever. Verse, chorus. In between the two, you're transitioning. Drum guy, you do a fill. A what?
Take it to the bridge.
What's that? Right? You hear James Brown go, take it to the bridge. And it's like, well, take it to the bridge. I don't know what that is, but yeah, here comes the fun part. You learn what those mean. As it's, by the time I went to school, it was taking my formal bits of knowledge and assembling it to double chorus and an outro. You call that a coda. You mean that thing go to this? Oh, I can do that. You learn to organize what little bits of knowledge you had, right? In that regard. But my learning was all by ear. Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Same with my guitar playing. It was just put the tape on, try to match up whatever note I heard here, and then put those notes together and try to play them. But that is what accelerates my learning now. And it gives me the ability to learn rather quickly, right? And over the years, I taught guitar and I taught bass, I taught drums because I can hear it. And, not that I'm a virtuoso on any of those instruments, but I understood how to teach because I'm self-taught and I'm not the quickest learner. So to make sure you understand something, I'm like, your first guitar lesson is, well, there's 6 strings on this, not on the back.
Yeah.
These are what tune it. This is a tuner. Go home and learn to play a scale and come back with a tuned guitar. That's your first lesson, because those were the stumbling blocks that I went through. Again, organize what I know, my knowledge, and be able to regurgitate it to someone that needs to learn in stages.
It's interesting to hear you speak about not having mentors per se. As coming from a sports background and being musically inclined, I took the lessons I learned from being on a team to being in a band. And I always wanted to be the worst guy in the band, because whether someone wants to teach me something or not, they're going to have to, because I need to keep up. And I figured if I was the worst guy in the band's going to be pretty good, because I'm pretty good. So they'll at least be better than me. I find a lot of musicians are loath to teach you how to do things or just help you. I don't know. It's just part of I think it's just part of the atmosphere, the musical atmosphere. It's very competitive.
Little gatekeeping.
A lot of I think there's a
little bit of gatekeeping.
A lot of gatekeeping. That's not necessarily a negative thing. The competition, I think, is what drives a lot of activity.
I would say Toronto is a very musical town.
Absolutely.
I lived in Vancouver and Montreal. Montreal is crazy musical, but the quality of the musicians in Toronto is like, people do compete and they try and be better than the next person they saw. And then they get that steak face on when they see someone who is really good. They're like,
yeah,
steak face.
It's funny. I always look at it. I never look at music as a competition that way. I am very invested in the atmosphere of being in a band and the atmosphere around the band. If I'm playing, I want people to be enjoying the playing and enjoying the music and dancing and that kind of thing, as opposed to going, wow, that guy's a really good guitar player. And I'm not. I'm pretty good, but that's never been my goal, for people to go, to make the stank face at me, for guys to go, oh, that guy's great. I don't care.
How dare he be so good?
I don't want to be that good. I want to look out and I want to see people smiling and dancing and having a good time. And it's a little different than a lot of people, but I think at the end of the day, that's what drives a lot of us.
I think so. We get the energy from the audience. We get the energy from people enjoying our music, from the other bandmates. And I'm sure that's something that you've really enjoyed as well in your career.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both for me. Like, I don't think about, first of all, I get a lot of work because I've always played for the song. A session guy will play for the song, not to be, look at how fast, look at how cool or good or whatever. But what has started to happen, I'd say in the last, and then I've been playing like a really long time, maybe in the last 5 to 8 years, is I am pushing myself to be the best musician possible, the best drummer. I want to be mind-blowing. And in my quest to do that, along the way, those that are observing the music, the show, are enjoying it. And what has started to happen is now I start to get the kudos. Wow, it was a great show. You are amazing. I'm like, well, I was just drumming for the song as
Yeah.
best I can.
Yeah.
Really giving this, does that song groove? Does it pocket? Is the band good? All of that is what I'm trying to do to the best of my ability as the best drummer possible. But what has spilled over is the accolades and the enjoyment of whoever's watching. So it's almost like now the best of both, right?
Yeah, I know that you've worked on cruise ships, which sounds like it was a very intense job, having to learn stuff within like 45 minutes before going on stage. And being with so many professionals who can also jump into a song or a set without a lot of rehearsal or any preparation, really. What
Thing about the cruise shipping and whatnot, but
And in your intense experience on the cruise ship where you have to play a song with like no rehearsal, you're surrounded by a bunch of professionals, you can play to the song. What do you think you bring from all of that experience into what you have now, your recording studio?
wow. Well, the recording that I do and the ship performance, they're very different worlds. Not that you can't, do both, but, quickly in a nutshell, the the work that you do when you're on a cruise ship, you're hired out, you're vetted to be a professional and someone that can do this very quickly. Nobody cares how good you are. Just give us what we need. Here's your paper, read the sheet music, and the performance is in 45 minutes. Please show up on time, blah, 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 blah. Do it, go. When I'm in the studio, I have a lot more control, a lot more creative control. My ideal is taking, someone that will sing a song and they've put it down on guitar. They've got their intro, their verse, their chorus, their bridge, their double chorus, their outro, etc. And I will now make this a full song. So one client she does it on piano, and I give it back to her with strings, with horns, with percussion, with drums, with a bass line. I will say to her, okay, you now need to maybe double your vocals. And I will mix it and edit it and do it all. So she gets back a song, a produced, polished, finished song, right? But has the cruise ship world and the production and songwriting world, they're completely different. They still
Did you
require
decide
musicianship, just different aspects.
did you decide to create your recording studio after doing your cruise ship tour? And what made you decide to move into your recording studio era?
The quest is to eat on a regular basis.
That helps.
That's a good quest. I love that quest.
No, it's again coming out of school. I mean, I went there to be a better drummer. Better drummer means more work. More work means obviously more money. What I came out with was improved drum knowledge and sensibilities, but a brand new skill I didn't expect, and that was production skills, right? Literally from microphone placement to digital editing and using different plugins, MIDI, the whole thing. And again, knowing that I need to make this skill marketable for me, I wrote, or I was able to get into a music library. So sync licensing, where I make basically commercial music that's commercial. It gets used somewhere. I don't know. I don't care. I get the money. But that spin-off of that was, well, create a song from concept to completion, any genre, anything, just write it. Look at a blank page and write a story. That's what you've got to do. But you pick up the peripheral skill of production. And to market it, it literally was sort of an accidental thing. But I realized that, okay, here's another facet to generate an income. I don't have anything fancy. A lot of people have a lot of fancy gear, etc. I'm what they call in the box. So I use MIDI that generates all the sounds. I play my instruments functionally. So I'm trying to work out a bass line. I will grab my bass and I will work it out. Okay, that's what I want. But now I have to make the computer record it or sing it back. So rather than try to record a bass line, which I rarely do, I will play it on a keyboard into the computer, and same thing with the horns or strings or whatever, put all that in. So mix it all around, stir, bake for 20 minutes, and you get this finished song. So as a sync writer or someone that writes music for commercials, and as a producer, those two skills are very, very much the same.
So as a sync writer and producing all this stuff for the online platforms, how do you see that evolving as we get farther and farther fighting head to head with AI and doing all of these things? How are regular musicians like myself who is trying to come up with a jingle for our podcast, how do we translate what we want to do into that world?
Yeah. Well, the AI is a bit of a misnomer, an odd, I look at it as a tool, and I don't mean specifically the ones that create music. I think the chat GPT, the quick terms, it scours the internet. You ask a question, what's the best guitar? I'm left-handed and I, love this kind of music. It will give you an answer. Well, that was quicker than me searching out guitars and through Google. So that's a great tool to have. As far as the music writing sync world, things are moving very quickly. There's a lot of backlash and negativity. And I will say, fortunately, the sync libraries will not take that submission. So I can generate a song in minutes and it sounds okay, sounds good, commercial and viable, but you can't make any money. Nobody's making any money off of it. So it becomes this gimmicky kind of, well, that was cool, and I want this, and I'm going to use this, and that was a quick and dirty, and they're like, good for you. I need to make money. I went to school, and it's my pride that loves, and I love to create something and listen to it, whether it's good or bad, it's mine. And a lot of people, a lot of us musicians, we still take pride in what we're doing, and we do what, I take. Usually I can get a good song is about a week. A lot of my jingle stuff is like, well, that'll serve its purpose and I'll get that in 4 days, but sometimes I'm just not happy and I'm tweaking and your ears just get fatigued. You got to come back another day. So that's why it takes a bit longer. But the AI world is going to have its lane. This is my prediction. Its lane, and the musicians will still do what musicians do, right? I can't say that there won't be some, even less money for us because, again, I play in wedding bands and it's easier to hire a DJ, easier, quicker, cheaper, but easier, quicker, cheaper to also stream music. So skip the DJ. I've got a Spotify or Apple Music account. I'll have music for my thing that way, but you don't have the live interaction of musicians or the DJ that's going to get the crowd into it. That element is gone. So for those that want the live element in their music, be it a DJ or be in a band, that's what you're going to pay for. And those that need, want, and can only afford the quick and dirty, that's what they're going to pay for. Unfortunately, when there was no quick and dirty, you only had the DJ and the musician. So now that you've got three choices, we're sort of pushed out, but we're still there. We're still there.
Yeah, I don't think the soul of music will ever really go away.
No. Well said. It will not.
No, at the end of the day, it comes from, oh my gosh, we're going to get to be really modeling here. At the end of the day, it comes from the heart.
It does.
Right? It's not so much what you
the end product
Yeah.
it's part of the creation.
It is. And it had to be, again, I chose to spend money and go back to school and learn all of this, not so that someone else can just go funky banjo and enter. Like, well, that doesn't feel good to me, right?
Yeah.
What chord's the banjo playing? Well, I don't care. Well, I do. There's no banjo, so you need a sax solo on top of that. Let me add, I'm thinking creatively and you can't get that, right? And to listen to anyone that has created something from scratch, it's your crayon drawing, or you've built a birdhouse or written a song, whatever. When you look back and you see that what you've accomplished, that feeling, that soul that you're talking, that there's nothing that compares to that. And that always keeps me going. always.
Well, before we wrap up, I know I could talk to you all day because there's just so much like interesting things to talk about and so much like musical history and musical experience between all three of us, I think. So we'll have to have you on again to
Yeah, come
expound
talk.
on certain stuff. But before we wrap up, I wanted to hear where people can go if they want to engage with your music studio, get something recorded with you.
Ooh.
Give us a little
Well,
self-promotion here.
well, the production side of me, yeah, the production side of me would be davidlowemusic.ca. There's always examples there of what I do. And honestly, there's a lot of word of mouth. Once you're out in the scene and you're interacting with people like me, we're going to find out what each other does and what we don't do, whether it's computer engineering or the production side of things or the music side. I mean, between the three of us, we have a synergy that we should all be working literally we could be
Yeah.
helping each other do the same type of thing. Right.
And we were out with you the other night and you were talking to DJs were walking by. We had all kinds of
Musicians
drummers.
and DJs. Yeah.
All musicians were just walking by. And do you find every opportunity to just say, hey, how can we help each other?
Yeah. I think there's almost a brotherhood of musicians that at least I don't. I am not trying to be better than you. Music's an art, not a sport. I'm not trying to outdo you on drums or guitar, right? It's, oh, you wrote that song. You know what? Have you heard such and such? Have a listen to this. You might like this, or do you like this band? Because we know we get excited when we listen to or hear a band or a music or a different sound. So we're just interacting, right? And, oh, you're drumming. So what are you doing on such and such? Well, I might be on tour. I might be on the boat, or yeah, I've got some time. I'll come out. Yeah. And you do that. I come out and I meet a guitar player. It's like, wow, you're doing guitar. I didn't know you played guitar. Yeah. Well, when I'm not building, computer networks, hey man, I've got this thing at home that doesn't do, can you get and all of a sudden you're doing this, right? That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, Dave, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I don't do these kind of things too often, so that's cool. All right. I get to talk about me, and more. Me.
Yeah, come back anytime. Are you playing anywhere where anybody can go see you soon?
The biggest show I have coming up would be, I put together a Lenny Kravitz tribute band called Mama
Nice.
Said.
Oh,
So that will be October 2nd at the Redwood Theater. So that will be, yeah, I cannot wait for that.
All right, everybody.
leather
Yeah.
pants.
Let's go. Lenny Kravitz tribute
Come on
band.
out.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave, thanks again. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you all. See you. Bye, Keith. Bye, Sandra.